Hi there, and welcome to my classroom. This is part 3 on our series of dihybrid crosses, and in this video we're going to have a look at determining the genotype and phenotype of the F1 generation. Now remember that when it comes to the F1 generation, this is basically, we're looking at what is all of the possibilities that can be seen in the offspring. It's not a guaranteed ratio, it's just possibilities. And this is slightly easier in the monohybrid cross because the entire Panna diagram is only 9 blocks, 2 alleles coming from the one parent, 2 alleles coming from the other parent. But when we start having a look at a dihybrid cross, now the entire Panna diagram is actually 25 blocks. And we'll have 4 alleles coming from the one parent and 4 alleles coming from the other parent. They might look the same, they might look different, but the entire thing is a little bit more complicated. So let's dive in with an example. Now we've seen this example before in our previous video, and it's the one about the tomato plants. And they're telling us that a farmer crosses a homozygous tall yellow tomato plant with a plant that is heterozygous for both characteristics. And in our previous video, we tried to figure out what does this homozygous tall tomato plant actually look like. And because it's homozygous, it will have the dominant characteristic there, both of them looking the same. And with the yellow tomato, it is actually showing the recessive characteristic. Now, when we look at this, that's the parent. Then we need to figure out what will the gametes look like. And this means that this parent can only give us one type of gamete. Now let's have a look at that second parent, and this one is heterozygous for both characteristics. So capital T, capital R, small r. And here we're going to make use of the FOIL method, which we did in our first video, to try and figure out what is the possible gametes. Now remember, you can only produce 4 combinations of gametes in a dihybrid cross, and we're going to make use of the FOIL method to get to these. I'm not going to do this in depth and detail now. I was thinking to refer back to the first video to be able to do this. So there is our 4 possible gametes. This is all very interesting, but remember, we want to know what is the F1 generation is going to look at. So we've got the parents, we've got the gametes, now we need to do that really big Punnett diagram. And we're going to start by drawing our 25 blocks and by entering all of our gametes. The Punnett diagram is going to look something like this. Now remember, you are never going to be asked to actually draw a Punnett diagram this big in grade 12 life sciences. What's most probably going to happen is they're going to give you a Punnett diagram already, but there will be information missing. So they'll maybe take 1 or 2 out and ask you what does the F1 generation there look like. Our next example comes from paper 2 in November 2021. And this one, look there, they gave us that 25 block Punnett diagram. But now they're going to ask us some very specific questions about it. So let's jump right in. They're saying in humans, short fingers and a widow's peak are dominant over long fingers and a continuous hairline. As I always tell my grade 12s, please highlight the characteristics that go together. This just helps you to keep it straight in your mind. So I'm highlighting short fingers and long fingers in one color, and then widow's peak and the continuous hairline in a different color. And then they give us that Punnett diagram we spoke about. And the first question they're going to ask is, state the genotype at Z. Now there is Z, and to get to that genotype, we're going to have to put the gamete there at the top and the gamete at the side together. Now remember that we want to put the characteristics that go together. So if we have a look at it, we'll see we've got 2 small f's. So we're going to put those together first. And then we've got a capital H and a small h. And we'll always put the capital H first and the small h second. And remember, we're now looking at an actual organism. This is a diploid organism, which means you cannot do something that puts a comma between the 2 characteristics. Unfortunately, that's going to cost you marks. And you also cannot do something where you leave spaces, because that also makes it look like it's two separate things, and we want it to look like it's one thing. So no spaces, no nothing. It needs to be all nice and neat together. Then in the next question, they want us to give the genotype of the parents, and the easiest to do that is from the information that we are given right here at the top. And in this case, they say a man and a woman, both heterozygous for the two characteristics. That means that they're actually heterozygous for both characteristics. So small letter, capital letter, and then the same thing with the second one. Now in this case, this question will be worth 2 marks because they're talking about 2 parents, but they could split this separately if the 2 parents were actually different from each other. Then our next question is the number of genotypes that could result in offspring with short fingers and continuous hairlines. And with this one, highlighting is also going to be our friend. So let's just get rid of everything on the screen there, right? And then we have a look. So we're looking at short fingers. Now remember, short fingers has got a capital F in it. And then continuous hairline has got only small letters. So we're looking for the possibilities that have capital F's but 2 small H's. So have a look and you'll see that there are 3 of them, which means the answer is 3. Then in number C, they ask us for the allele for a continuous hairline. Now remember, hairline, they didn't give us the allele there, but they did connect it to another characteristic. And if the dominant one has got the capital H, it means that the continuous hairline will have a small h. In question D, they ask for the phenotype of a child who is homozygous recessive for both characteristics. Now this is again one of those tricky questions because people have a tendency of reading too fast, and you would see, okay, homozygous recessive, I need to write down the genes, when in actual fact they're asking for the phenotype, which would be long fingers for 1 mark and continuous hairline for the 2nd mark. I hope this helps. Thank you for visiting the Chaotic Classroom. See you next time.